Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another Vobes show. I'm Richard Vobes, and this is live on Facebook, not live on YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, it is a rerun, so don't try saying hello to me. If you're watching it now on Friday evening, the 2nd of November, at just after 8 p.m, Greenwich Mean Time, because we're back to Greenwich Mean Time, then we are live. So there we are. And I've almost, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a regular watcher to this, I've almost got my voice back, which is good because I was really straining. Although I'm going to try not to strain too much in today's show because it's right on the cusp. Anyway, this is another fireside chat. I'm forced now to be here in the front room of the Vobes Towers because down here by my dungeon fire, which you can see burning away, actually let's just check the log situation, can't go in the studio because half the kitchen is still in there and it's a bit of a mess and it's cold. So these winter nights I'm here by the fire. Let's just have a quick gander in if you can see it burning away, which I hope you can. It's rather nice. Stick another log in, I think. I'll tell you what, we'll stick two in. There we go. Marvellous. Right, let's close that up because it's a bit of a fag, isn't it? Have to close it up because otherwise all the heat goes up the chimney and it burns the logs ever so fast. Well, let's see if there's anybody actually watching this nonsense, because you never know, I could be just sitting here completely on my own, which would be not unusual. We have Paul Hine, we have Claire Leach, there's Anne Osborne out there, Kevin Hall, hello Kevin, Nigel Sadler has joined, Henry David, good evening, thank you for joining me, Steve Blakey, hello Steve, hope you're well, and Eric Hubel, Ian Beddoes, Anne Evans, thank you so much, all of you lovely people. I'm going to be speaking with Eric. I'm speaking with you at 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's in my diary. We're going to chat about videos. That's none of anybody else's business, by the way, but doing a promotional video, hopefully, for the lovely Eric, all the way from Bethersden, beg your pardon, Bethersden, the home of the English honeybee, I'm led to believe. Andy Dalgleish is out there. Kevin Hall said, Wendy Wakelin. Hello, Wendy. Hope you're well, back from your holiday with your lovely new caravan. Anne Osborne, I've said. Kushti Phil, Kevin Hall, mentioned. Just doing the roll call as we go. Andrew Graham, Laura Riddle. Hello, Laura. Hope you're well. Ella's Beehive has joined us as well. Hello, Ella's Beehive. Lovely to see you. Steve Pilfold says, you look like you've had a breakdown mechanically. Oh, yes, I have had a bit of a breakdown. We will talk about that very shortly. John Berger from the USA. Fantastic to see you. Thank you very much, Squire, for joining in. You must check out John Berger's podcast, by the way, at widescreen.org. Talks about cinema films, what's coming up, what he thinks of certain feature films, all that kind of malarkey. Great podcast, great man, and well worth listening. I think he does it once a week, if I remember, John. Is it something like that? It's marvellous. Linda Kane, good evening to you. Tim Robinson says hello. Hello, Tim. Simon Brown, Kevin Hall, and various others. So that's marvellous. I'm just going to scroll down. If I have David Carey, hello to you. If I've missed out your thing, is that where the new stove will go, says Tim Robinson? No. Actually, this is my living room. Well, it's my office. It's my edit suite. My edit suite's actually over there. And my desk and my office part of the room is over there. This is the fireside of the room. And behind me is part of the reading area of the room. I don't have a television, you see. So instead of watching television and watching game shows and Cash in the Attic and daytime TV, I spend my time reading. When I do have time, and increasingly time seems to be slipping through these little mittens of mine, which is a right shame. Tonight I am being fueled by peppermint tea. Peppermint tea, it's supermarket owned, I'm afraid. It's the sweepings off the floor, but very tasty. Dan Thompson, I've noticed, has also arrived, which is great. Dave Baker is also here. John Berger's going, matey, which is nice. Laura Riddle is fine and dandy. She says, hey, I get a free plug. What do I owe you now? You owe me nothing. Check him out, widescreen.org, which is good. Ian Beddoes, glad to see you've decided to wear the makeup again tonight. Looks better than Wednesday when you went au naturel. I have to hide the hideous face. Plenty of that ordinary makeup that one wants to wear to sort of get the appearance looking reasonably normal. Tonight I'm wearing a velvet jacket. I thought you may not be able to see that it's velvet. I don't know if it shines up here very nicely, but it is. It's a velvet jacket which I very rarely wear actually, but I bought it on a whim. Sorry, a whim. A whim. You've got to go the wh on the W sounds if you really want to be posh. I bought it on a whim. I rather like it. It's got a sort of paisley inside to it. Actually, it's not paisley, but it's, well, I suppose it sort of is. It's that kind of design. Anyway, it's rather nice. Adrian Lidgett. Hello, Adrian Lidgett. Nice to see you. Don't go away, Adrian. We hear a bit of your voice in today's show. What? My voice? How is that possible? Very remotely. You have to listen very hard, but you're there. Glenn Johnson is here. Hello, Glenn. Lovely to see you, which is marvellous. I don't have a TV. I just make videos and watch them, says Henry David Allen, and I don't blame you. In fact, actually, it's quite useful to watch one's own content because you get to see all your errors and your mistakes, and you think, oh, I could have done that a bit quicker. I could have made that a bit better. I didn't get that in focus. You see all the things that you can improve. What you shouldn't do is watch and just go, hey, look at me, I'm the best thing in the world. Obviously, you've got to have a certain amount of confidence when you shoot the things and be happy in yourself. A lot of people will film themselves and not be so happy with themselves. You do have to get used to seeing yourself. I mean, I look at myself and I think, gosh, I'm such an ugly old baldy. Who would ever want to watch me? But you get used to it. You get used to your strange foibles. Other people don't see those as that. They see you in a completely different frame of light. Mainly they turn the contrast and the brightness down so that actually you can't be seen at all, which is probably the best in my case to be seen. But it is worth looking at yourself with a critical eye and thinking, could I have made that sharper, as in the pace? Could I have got to the points? Could I have done the research better? In my case, it's usually, yes, I could have done it better, and yes, I should have done it better, and yes, will I do it better? I hope I do. I hope I'm getting better at these videos. It is actually quite good. But you're quite right, David, Henry. It's not having a television. You know, having it. I'm not criticising anybody who does have a television. I just really don't have the time. Paul and Suzanne Watts has come, which is very nice to see you. Glenn Johnson says he likes the jacket. I better be careful if I go out with Glenn again and put the jacket down somewhere. I feel it's going to disappear. Although Glenn is a little bit more muscular than I and a bit more harder looking. I imagine, though, with the Stegosaurus haircut that he has, he would look absolutely charming. Affable is the word that I would describe Glenn. If you meet him down a dark alley, you'd think that Glenn Johnson is very affable. He's very, very charming and what's another word that I'm being cheeky now, aren't I? Stuart Douch. Hello, Stuart, headmaster of Sompting Abbots, has just joined us. So please, please be on your best behaviour. Otherwise, out with the old birch and whew, 6 of the best. 6 of the best jokes, I think it is actually these days. 6 of the best birch jokes. If you've got a birch joke, I want to hear it. If anyone's got a birch joke, be interested in that. Richard Suggett has joined. Hello, Squire. Richard Suggett was sitting in this very chair earlier this evening. I told him to get out. It's my chair. Go and find your own chair. I was a bit rude to him, actually. But he has had a look at my Essie, not that it's here yet, but where it's going to be, and thought, well, the shadow of it's very nice, but where's the actual device? We were looking at how to plumb it in, which is always good. So that's nice. Laura Riddle says, you're looking good. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. James DeWill. Hello. Hello, James DeWill. I always think of James DeWill a bit like, you know, that Shakespeare bloke. I think of James DeWill there with a big quill pen writing very important poems or literature or something like that. That could be quite good. It's funny what names conjure up in your mind, isn't it? When you've never met somebody and you hear certain names. James DeWill. I suppose it's the DeWill bit. It's like I'm writing in giant calligraphy with a pen from the 17th century. You know, long wills listing those things that you might have had. One chair, wooden. One chest made of, what would a chest be made of? Well, it may be made of oak, I suppose. One oak chest. One hazel stick. When people used to have property in the old days, we were saying this to Richard Suggett this evening, we have so much property these days, don't we? We cling on to all this nonsense. But in the old days, you know, if you were lucky, if you had a pewter plate and a pewter mug, perhaps you'd have a wooden bowl carved out of a, I don't know what kind of a tree. Let's think, what kind of a tree? An ash tree. I haven't mentioned ash. Or an apple or something, who knows. And, you know, you didn't have very much. You had 2 changes of clothes and that sort of thing. Or maybe you didn't even have 2 changes. You just had the same smelly, same smelly clothes you've had on all day, for all I know. Joke coming up. Steve Pilford now preempting his speeches with the word joke so I don't get upset, which is a very good idea. He says, how do you know how old a birch tree is? Count its birch trees. Oh, God, I've ruined that. How do you know how old a birch tree is? I say. I don't know. How do you know how old a birch tree is? Don't bugger up the joke is one thing. No, of course. You count the birch days. Yeah, it's not my joke. It's not my joke. But yeah, great. Love it. Give me another one. James DeWill. I wish DeQuill. James DeQuill. Now you're talking. Hello, my name is James. I can imagine James DeQuill there at his old little Victorian, not even Victorian, I think more Georgian desk, sitting there with a hole with his feathered quill, bent over the hunchback. Actually, James, you now have a hunchback over great vellum parchments which you've been working on and scribbling out all day long in this very fine hand, dipping your ink in here and doing this. With longish hair, I'm imagining long, sort of lanky hair, and lots of dandruff, don't ask me why, and the dandruff and a fringe that covers over your head, that all this dandruff, I'm imagining like snow, and you permanently think, because you're having to put coal on the fire and you're cold and shivery, that it's actually snowing outside, but it isn't snowing outside at all. Not at all. It's actually just this dandruff coming off your head, and you're in this very tight, heavy wool jacket and suit, black, of course, black as the ink, and you're scratching away. All we hear is this scratching sound and the coo of a wood pigeon that somehow got stuck in the loft, cooing away. However they coo, they make a distinct cooing sound, which I can't even... it's a cooing sound, not a pooing sound. That's a slightly different sound. Because every time you look up, that's the pooing. So that's where the pooing sound comes in at that precise moment. And poor old Jay... And it's because those white splotches. And you have to get some excuse to your employer who comes in and looks at the parchment and says, "What's been going on here, Mr. Quill?" And you go, "Oh, I made a slight mistake. I've been using bird poo as a mistake corrector fluid, you see." And your employer says, "Well, why don't you use Tipex? It's a lot easier and smells less." But anyway, whatever. So there we go. Let's have a look. You are Marv Vobes. That's why we watch you. Thank you so much. That was Dan Thompson. What a lovely bloke he is. Marv Vobes. Richard Suggett says, I think he's talking to somebody else. I'm waiting for the Queen to start. The Queen's not in today. Kevin Hall says, James DeWill from my hometown, who will return one day, which is great. Guessed it would be Shaw Wednesday. George Timperley, the star of our daily video today. Young George, 13-year-old young George Timperley, and Colin Charles Cox has joined. I have to say, George, it was an absolute pleasure to work with you. I feel fairly redundant now. My knowledge of the Spa Valley Railway and trains in particular, diesels especially, is pretty slim, if non-existent, really, to be honest with you, other than the fact that I knew about slam doors and taking the windows down and don't lean out of the window because there's a £100 fine. And how many people have leant out of those wonderful sash, well, they're not really sash, are they, sliding windows, and had their heads obliterated? I wonder how many people that is. Not that the number is really important, but the fact that they did stick their head out of the window as another train went flying past, and just like Madame Guillotine sliced it right off. It must have been a hideous mess, especially if you sit down and everybody in the carriage next to you are still reading the classified in the Times, trying to do the crosswords, or looking at the friendship column and trying to deduce whether the German matron of some a certain age is really going to be the woman of his dreams, and whether she'll be wearing pink pyjamas when she comes. Who knows? Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with any of that. Thank you very much. Sometimes I have the... Let's just have a drink. I tell you what, that's the best thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, do keep the comments coming. Always lovely to see your comments. I can't always... If I miss out on your comments, please don't get cross. The other day I missed out on a comment and somebody said, shame you didn't see such and such a comment. I do apologise. Do try my best, but obviously I've got to talk to you as well. I've only got the one eye, you see. I've got one eye on you. Normally, anybody else, a sensible person, a more rounded, perfectly formed individual, would be able to read the comments at the same time, so please don't get too cross. Here's another joke coming from the wonderful Steve Pilfold, Joke Factory, Pilfold's Jokes. He writes them for Christmas crackers and for Noel Edmonds. Unfortunately, Noel Edmonds is no longer around, but if he... Well, he's around, isn't he? But he's no longer... Luckily, I don't know if he's on the television, actually. Probably still is on the television. Just getting the Christmas decorations down. Anyway, Steve Pilfold says, a flying fish landed on a branch... Oh, it's just gone. Hang on. Don't... It's because people are typing. A flying fish... I will get these jokes out in one form or another. A flying fish... I'm having a flying start with this one. A flying fish landed on a branch. A perch on a birch perch. What? A perch on a birch perch. I ought to read them first, shouldn't I? Quietly to myself, which would be useful. Anyway, Henry's Adventures. Check out his channel, always worth checking out. It's very exciting. Goes to loads of places, more places than I ever managed to get out. I don't know how he manages it, really, but there we are. Anyway, David... Oh, I've done it again. Henry's Adventures. Henry David Allen says, I always lean out of the window. You be careful, mate, otherwise you'll be going, hello, thank you for... And the joining me will be a long way. Well, maybe that's why we've been joining you, because every time you lean your head out the window, hello, someone's picked it up, glued it back, stuck it back on your neck so that you can say, thank you for joining me. I was falling apart. But anyway, today I'm at such and such and so, which is always nice to see. Just going to scroll back just slightly, ladies and gentlemen, to see if I've missed anything. I probably have. Richard Suggett's talking to Linda Bogner Cinema. I've never been to the Linda Bogner Cinema, but I've been advised that it's very nice. You can see some great films there. I've got a small model of a bird made of birch, says Henry from Henry's Adventures. It would be great if I had a related joke. Yes, it would be great. We'll wait. Not very long. We won't wait very long. Cynthia Walder says, give us 20. Oh, 20 of the best. Yes, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, done that joke. Thanks very much. Okay, I done that. Well, all right, catching up with the things. Is it too early for Christmas Carol? Somebody's got frozen. I think it was Linda Kane. No, it is a bit too early for the Christmas Carol. Oh, you're talking about my description. Yes, of course. There have been more decapitations than you would think, says Nigel Sadler. Yes, I am not at all surprised. I bet there have been. I've never been I've never seen a decapitation. Has anybody out there seen a decapitation? I've seen... What's it called when rain comes down? Precipitation. I've said wasn't quick enough, was I? Simply wasn't quick enough. I've seen precipitate. Can't even say it. Never mind that. Now I've got some Christmas cards. They've come in. They're over the other side of. I was going to say the studio, but it's not technically the studio. It's just over there, out of reaching distance. I can't reach. You see, and it's not. It's rude for me to get up, so that you see how I'm being propped up on the chair behind me today. I have a ramrod up my back. So there we go. Yes, says Henry David Allen. He says, yes, when I'm on a train with open windows, I still got my head. Oh, that's lucky. I'm pleased to hear that, David, Henry. Oh, God. Steve Pilford said, happened on a class 442 Balham on the Up Fast about 2 years ago. Bloke killed after his head hit a signal. It's amazing that they put these things so close to where the train is. You would think, would you not, that people who run railways would know that the people going on the railways are as thick as you know what, porridge. That there are going to be stupid people, perhaps drunk people, perhaps mentally deranged people, just people, you know, people with cuckoo circumstances who, for reasons of their unknownness, will stick their head out of a window. And you would think that the managers of these railways would think, someone's going to stick their head out of the window. Let's not put the signal so it is that close that it is inches. Because unless you happen to have a neck of perhaps 2 feet, is it really that difficult to put the signal a little bit further so no matter how much you get your head out the window, it wouldn't actually hit the signal? I mean, you'd think that after perhaps 1 or 2 of these decapitations, that people would go, do you know what we should do? Because people are thick and stupid, we'll move the signals. I know it's a bit of money, but crikey, compared to actually laying the tracks down and sticking electricity down it, or filling up a train with diesel and hoping that it's going to get, you know, I would rather the train was a minute late, but know that if I stuck my head out the window for whatever reason, I would actually be able to retain that head and not have it bounce onto the gravel and then down the embankment. Very difficult to find when your head falls off, I would imagine. The lovely Julia has joined. Hello, lovely Julia. So lovely to see you, of course. Glenn Johnson says, Young Ones clip comes to mind. Ah, yes, the Young Ones. That was a good series. Steve Pilfold says, how do trees find stuff on the internet using a birch engine? Of course. Birch jokes is what we want, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got any birch jokes, thank you, Steve. Fantastic. Ed Keeley has joined us, which is marvellous. Richard Suggett says, lucky Henry, I lost me Ed the other night. Well, yeah, I'm afraid Julia and I were... Did you like the Halloween evening, by the way? It was a little bit different, a little bit unusual. I can't remember what happened now. I know that Richard Suggett was very boisterous in it, but other than that... so that's all good. So now Kevin Hall says, I took the head of a fly once. It was really making me mad, so I picked the knife and took a swish at it, and it dropped to the floor. Lucky I know it gave me luck, I know, he says, but it gave me great pleasure. You took a knife, you didn't have it between its little wings or something, and like that. You're a brave man, Kevin Hall. You're such a brave fella. I don't know how you manage it, really, to be honest with you, when you're being plagued by a single mean fly buzzing about. Oh, that fly, you must have said. Hello, Richard. There's a fly here. I'll get it. Don't you worry, Richard. I'll get the camera and film it first. Where is it? It's somewhere here. There it is. Shoo. I mustn't be mean to Kevin. He's a very generous man. He came down to my house and told me I've got to scrim all the walls, knock the house down and restart. But he did bring me some nice apple logs, actually. And here is one such apple log. Thank you so much, Kevin. You are an absolute gem. I don't know how you smoke them. Richard Suggett said they're good for smoking. But I've tried puffing on this and it really isn't much cop. They're not quite yet dried out for a fire. So I can't put them in there because the moisture content will damage the chimney. So if you were thinking of chopping a tree down and putting it straight on the fire, it's not advisable. So don't do that. Use some dried up wood and get in there, swine. There we are. Ah. So, now, I'm sure that... Oh, hang on. Steve Pilfold says, if you want to lose 45 minutes of your life, you can read the report about it online and how the line was out of gauge with the kinematic envelope of the train, which basically made it too close. So there we go. So I imagine the signal probably just swung round a bit, did it, over a period of time. As the Earth turns, see what happens. I'm a bit of an expert on train signal relationships. What happens is, as the Earth turns after so many days, the turning motion in a very, very sort of slow centrifugal force method actually moves the two closer together. The more times the train goes up and down the track, the tracks, the gravel, the whole Earth time continuum thing, they move together. So the signal here and the train route here gets closer and closer, until it really becomes a bit like a ham slicer, you know, like at the delicatessen where they go vroom. So you stick your head out the window, vroom. It can happen. Probably did. Anyway, enough of this nonsense. Earlier today I had a slight issue. Now, I put the video up already, but just for the sake of argument, I thought I'd play it again, Sam. You see, the thing was, the lovely Julia and I were going out for a walk, and we took the cameras, video cameras, and everything that we need, tripod and walking boots, clothes. Julia bought a whole bunch of lovely food that we were going to have a nice picnic halfway through, and we were going to film this wonderful walk. Miles, it was about 50-mile walk. We were going to condense it down to about 3 minutes, but it was a fantastic walk over mountain and dale, through hedgerow and vale. We were going to climb up and down. We were going to row and go in a submarine. Actually, part of it was involved a submarine. We had a glider which we were going to jump off Mount Caburn near Lewis, and we were going to zoom down over the Kentish Weald by staying adrift in the eddy currents. So all that was essential really was to go about 5 miles up the road from Lancing, where Julia lives, and we would start this intrepid, you know, you'd think of Henry David Allen and his amazing adventure. That would have wiped the floor with him. It really would. It would have been not so much thank you for joining me. It would have been thank you for adhering to this long, tedious journey that we're going to make and subject you to for at least 58 hours non-stop. So that was the plan. That was the plan. We thought we would do the walk of the century. People will be talking about it for years to come. They will be writing letters in longhand, perhaps as James de Quill would do with his feather quill, to their grandchildren, and say, I remember watching on something we used to call lovingly the internet. There was this fella and this other girl, the Purple Ranger, and they went for this tediously long walk and strapped us to our chairs and glued our eyes to the screen using a bit of Copydex, and we had to watch inherently for hours and hours and hours as they trudged across the landscape. Well, obviously powers that be intervened because we couldn't get as close to the start point as we had originally desired. What actually happened was the fan belt on my car, very old car, you know, it's a very old car. The fan belt was having trouble, and I said to Julia, come on, Julia, get your garter out. And she looked down and said, I'm not wearing any garters, actually, thank you very much. Who do you think you are? I said, I'm Richard Vobes, don't you know? I'm Richard Vobes. You are the Purple Ranger. You're supposed to go, there, take those, Richard Vobes. And I would have gone, oh, nice. And then shoved it round and you know. Anyway, the fan belt snapped, basically. It was fraying and it was flapping about like this. We had to stop. We had to call out the AA, which was a little annoying. And you may have seen the video, but I'm going to show it again. And on the way we got Toad, yes, Toad of Toad Hall, and he was in his motor car going honk honk, as Toad of Toad Hall did. And he towed us, very nice bloke actually, I have to say the AA were exemplary. This chap, absolutely brilliant, forgotten his name, Kev, was it Kev? I think it was something like Kev. Lovely bloke, towed us all the way back to the Swift Motors, who sorted out my car, cost me £85. £85 I could ill afford, ladies and gentlemen. I put my bleeding heart there out on the table. So if anybody, you know, is feeling like they want to support the old Vobie with the patronage, of course, you're very welcome. See, these are some of the expenses that go into getting those videos out to you. Never mind the expense. I said, you fix that car. Julia and I have got to do that tedious walk and subject our viewers to it at all costs. And they said, I tell you what, we'll keep it at 85 quid if you don't do that tedious walk. Do another walk, a nice one that people will actually want to enjoy. And then we'll fix your car. I said, well, a bargain is a bargain, so I better do it. Anyway, we were towed, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've had a bit of a mishap today. The fan belt, well, it's not the fan belt anymore. It's the auxiliary belt.
Front end auxiliary something or other.
Yes. The front end auxiliary something or other has got ripped and was flapping. We've had to call out the AA, who I'm now, if you look out the front, I am going over the River Ada at Shoreham Bridge, being towed by a very lovely AA, by a very lovely AA man who has been looking after us. And I've got to go back to my garage now, Swift Motors, who will probably, hopefully, sort out the fan belt. It's not going to be a cheap thing, I don't think, because they've got to sort out the timing chain. So, I don't know what that costs, but it's ruined our walk. But hey-ho.
Such is life.
Such is life. So, there we are. Even the bald explorer can conk out on occasion. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. But as I say, got it repaired. Seems to be okay. Little adventure. There's always something, isn't there? There's always a little adventure in one's life. So Henry doesn't have all the adventures, just so you know. The Vobes occasionally has them. The lovely Julia was absolutely marvellous. She was stoic. She kept me calm. She fanned me a little bit, saying, it's all right, Vobes, don't panic, don't panic. The AA will come. They'll sort it out. They're very nice people. And I'm sitting there like a gibbering wreck going, oh, my God, we're a video down. Don't you understand, woman? We're a video down, I said. But she did understand. She slapped me about the face and chucked me in the lake. And I was all right after that, funny enough. A bit wet and drenched and a bit moist. It's all that clunch I fell into. But other than that, it was fine. So that was all good. Anyway, during that, I was going to go and get the cards that have come in so that I wouldn't have to get up in front of you and get them. And, you know, I was so busy trying to think, I wonder when that ends, that I didn't do it. So I'm going to quickly do it now. Just going to lean over here. Because we got some bits and bobs. Oh, I hope you didn't see what I've got a whole load of wedgie stuff behind me, just keeping me upright. Right, so here we go. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. And old Mother Hubbard has gone to the cupboard and seen there's nothing in it. So this first one, we got a lovely card here. Have a look at this. Isn't this nice? Oh, what a lovely card that is. That's a lovely card. Delicate Frost. Not David. It says, a card by my fellow cyclist and photographer Emma Stokes. Well, if you're going to be a cyclist, I think Stokes, oh no, Spokes. Oh, yeah, see, it doesn't quite work. Forget that comment. Dear Richard, wishing you a very merry and warm Christmas. Here's looking forward to a year for great walks, video and live shows. From Nigel Sadler. Thank you very much, Nigel. If you're just wondering why I'm opening Christmas cards now, it's because we're asking for Christmas cards. All the Christmas cards must come in to me if you're going to send a Christmas card by the end of November. So not many days left. So that's, I'll put that on the file. Oh, no, don't do that. I'll put it over here, look. Can you see that there? There we are. Nice, isn't it? Nice. There's Nigel also sent something else. We'll get to that in a second. And this is Christmas wishes from Southwick, it says on there. Have a look at that one. Trying to get it where the glare is no glare. There we are. Look. Isn't that nice? This is from Joe Merchant, who has his address on the back, so we better hide that. Thank you, Joe. I'll just stick that down there. And it says, to Richard and Co., to wish you a Merry Christmas and Christmas cheer, making the best dreams come true all Christmas and New Year. Merry Christmas from Joe. Great shows, he says. Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll just shove that. We'll place it very nicely over there. And I've got a card. A lovely card. I don't know if you can see that. I imagine. Where is that? At first, I thought it was the Open Air Museum in Singleton, but actually it's East Bergholt in Suffolk, and that's the bell cage. Have another look. That's the bell cage. I assume there's a bell in it. Anyway, this is from Elaine Brazier, who says, thank you, Elaine, by the way, thought that these two books might be of use to you, Richard. They were in my collection of books. I'm having a sort out. She's having a sort out. So what books is she referring to? I can't put that one up over here because it's a postcard and it will flop away. So I'll just place it very gingerly down there. Got some interesting books to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a nice old book, a pictorial history of Worthing. I don't have this one, actually. It's very nice. It's got some lovely old pictures of Worthing. And it made me think there's a lot of stuff that I could use this as research and go around and do a few little bits and pieces about Worthing. Here, the Worthing's premier hotel, the Royal Sea House, was gutted by fire on the 21st of May 1901. The building was designed by John Rebecca and replaced with a much older inn. The hotel became royal following a visit by Queen Adelaide, widow of William IV, in 1849. The arcade now occupies the site, and it's the one there on that, no, this side, there. Engulfed by fire. Anyway, lovely book. Thank you very much. Also, she sent me this one, Around Worthing, similar vein. Beautiful old pictures with bunches of people sitting, posing for pictures and stuff. So thank you so much, Elaine. These could be really useful, especially for now and thens. I was thinking of going out and doing a few, what did it look like, what's changed, where is it, and, you know, visiting on video and that sort of thing. I'm enjoying these guidebook ideas of going to places, following a guidebook, seeing what was there then and what there is now, and what period and how much change. I think that's quite interesting. I'm sorry if I'm not answering your comments just at the moment as I go through these. So Nigel Sadler, not only did he send that lovely Christmas cards, but he knew we'd been to Avebury, and he'd been reading this amazing book by Francis Pryor, Paths to the Past. Beautiful, well-presented book. I like the cover. It's got a lovely thing. And he says here, Dear Richard, I finished the book, a delightful, light read that can take you places. Loads of suggestions for walks, both near and far. And that's from the lovely Nigel Sadler. Thank you so much. So it's got things like the Orkney Islands, which, as you know, from Worthing's, only round the corner. The Great Orme copper mines. I'd like to go down there. Arthurian Tintagel. Tintagel, for those people who don't know the area at Worthing, it is just 3 miles down. It's the other side of Julia's house, actually. If she'd just bought a little bit further east, she'd be in Tintagel. That's true. Ironbridge. Oh, yes, Ironbridge in Shropshire. That's not so close. The Quiet Revolution. Edinburgh New Town. Edinburgh. That's, I think that's just north of Horsham somewhere. And Rise Hill Navy Camp. These are just some of the suggestions. Some interesting ancient history about that. Thank you very much, Nigel. Absolutely brilliant. Now, also, I've been purchasing some books. You know what I'm like. Let me loose on Amazon. I'm buying second-hand books. In fact, the postage was more expensive than the books. So, because I'm keen to keep the videos coming, to keep entertaining you, to keep you amused and all that kind of stuff, these I've noticed these books here, Sussex Guides, 20 Sussex churches, bit of information. We've been going to some very nice churches, which is good. James de Quill suggested that, like the people who did the all the stations, that I ought to go and do all the churches. There's a lot of blooming churches, I can tell you. But I do like churches. People do like churches, but they don't want too many of them. Not on the Vobes thing. But anyway, so we may do as many as we can. 20 Sussex walks, some more walks, guided walks and things, which is useful. Very good. The walk that the lovely Julia and I were doing today came from this book published in 1977, Walks in Sussex. And again, it may only be 1977, so what's that, 40 years or so? And we were doing this walk around Ashurst. And again, it's to see what's changed and also the fun of following the descriptions that they write in these books, because the maps are appalling, really. Have a look at this map. That's a map. Because they weren't really able to publish the Ordnance Survey map without paying an absolute fortune. And sometimes the author has put north. Here's a map, for example. And you probably can't see that, but the arrow here, where my little finger is, there's an arrow there telling me that actually north is that way round. A bit awkward, isn't it? Anyway, we were going to have fun with that, and you were going to be amused, and everyone was going to be happy. Final book that I purchased this week is Battlefield Walks. Battlefields of Kent and Sussex. I have to say, most of them are in Kent. There are a few in Sussex, and they're all in East Sussex, so none in West Sussex. But beautifully mapped out where the battles were, and that sort of thing. So again, lots of pictures and things, but references, so you know the old noggin can go out. I love the variety of stuff that we've got in the show. Golly, the time is flying past. Let's have a quick look how we're doing. I haven't been to Tintagel in years, says Mark Selwood. No, I have actually been to Tintagel. It's very nice. It is a bit further than Lancing, actually. I may have made that up. Nicky Jess has arrived. Everything stops for Nicky Jess. Dave Henry says, I love Now and Then. I've got quite a few railway past and present books. I like how the present is sometimes only 30 years old. Yes, I know, it's crazy. Some of my pictures are in that book. I took them for Robert Ellery. Oh, did you? What, in this book? Oh, Robert Ellery. Wait a minute. Who's Robert Ellery? In which? In one of the 20s. Don't know which one you're talking about now. But very good. Thank you very much. That's interesting. Best thing about Worthing, the dolphin. Yeah, we have a pet dolphin in Worthing. People come from miles to see the dolphin go through hoops. It's lovely. Nice and cosy by the fire, Mr. Vobes says. What's his name? Mr. Mark Selwood. Lots of comments. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. I was 24 in 1977, says Henry. Henry Hall? No, not Henry Hall. Kevin Hall. Henry Hall, we all know, he did, Henry Hall did, if you go down in the woods today, you better go in disguise. If you go down in the woods today, you won't believe your eyes. Da-da. I don't know all the words, obviously. Da-da-da-da-da. Today's the day the teddy bears, the day the teddy bears have their picnic. Picnic time for teddy bears. Dad, I must remember the lines. I used to sing that to my dad when he had dementia a lot. He loved it because he used to work at the BBC. And when he was working at the BBC in the 1950s, they apparently, to test the equipment, they put on the Teddy Bears Picnic. I did a podcast with him about 10, 12 years before he died. And it's a lovely little piece of memory of my dad. Now, Joe Smith. Is Joe Smith out there this evening, by the way, by any strange quirk of fate? I haven't seen if she's popped in. Just looking very briefly, see if she is. But Joe Smith has sent me a very fascinating book. And I don't know if you've heard of this. This will get your smiling things round. This is called The Wipers Times. The Wipers Times, the famous First World War trench newspaper. It's called the Wipers Times because when the Tommies were fighting in Belgium around places like the Hill 60, the Menin Gate, the Hellfire Corner, those sort of places, they went near Ypres, which is spelt Y-P-R-E-S. Ypres is how it's properly pronounced, I believe. But because it's, you know, a lot of these guys were fairly illiterate. Well, not illiterate, but, you know, they couldn't get their tongues round it. They would see it and see it was wipers, isn't it? It's wipers. So, hence the Wipers Times. This is a collection. It's a beautiful collection. It's new to me. I didn't know about this. It's come to me. It's a fascinating thing. With newspaper reports of the time, but it was a newspaper that incredibly was supplied not only to people at home but also to people on the front, and people on the front were contributing to it, poetry. You didn't think that they would have time, but yes, apparently they did. So it's got some... Now, I haven't had a huge chance to read it, but here we are. There's a lot of correspondence from these newspapers of 1915 or something. So here we go. To the editor of the BEF Time, British Expeditionary Force Times. Sir, once again I feel constrained to draw your attention to the increasing rowdiness of the district. I am a peaceful citizen, and although somewhat behindhand with my rates, yet the injustice of the present conditions is apparent. Surely, when a quiet citizen wishes to cultivate his own small holding, it is not quite the thing to plant a 12-inch howitzer in the middle. I must protest, and if nothing is done in the matter, I announce my intention of voting against the present candidate in the forthcoming elections. I am, sir, fed up. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Some of these outrageous people. There's poetry, there's old advertising things in it. Bizarre pictures. Christmastide, mistletoe and holly, lovely girls and inglenook, gaiety wherever you look, in each magazine or book, banish... What does that say? It's in very badly printed. Melancholy. Oh, I beg your pardon. I've read that rubbish, didn't I? What else have we got in here? Let's have a look. Our matrimonial column. It says, everything in this department receives the greatest discretion and secrecy, and correspondence may be assured that all correspondence is treated with the utmost delicacy. I think it's just wonderful. Here we go. Look. Captain, 35. Handsome and dashing appearance. This is the captain describing himself, presumably. Thoroughly domesticated and capable of looking after the home. Feels lost in his present position of camp commandant. Fond of dogs. Would welcome correspondence with a view to matrimony. Money no object, as he has his pay. Right, Vatican, care of this paper. Isn't that marvellous? Brig General, young, charming personality, feels lonely. Bashfulness has made him take this way of setting his future happiness, and he would like to correspond with some priceless young lady, matrimonially inclined. Right, Rudolph, care of this paper. Isn't that? It's just so delightful. Anyway, there's many more of those. I think it's hilarious. What a brilliant piece of reading. Then there's these adverts. We are the people. You want it? We've got it. Then come to us. Dope and curry. Livery and bait stables. Registered offices. Lessons in deportment, etc., etc. Did I hear you say you wanted a domestic servant? Splendid. Then step this way. And what for you, sir? A charger? Well, you're in luck's way. We've the very thing. Roll up, roll up, roll up. There it is. Sorry, my voice is going. Anyway, the Wipers Times. I may pick a few more bits out of that and read them in forthcoming things. I think it's absolutely incredible. Now, I've been asked to do a little party piece, as it were, in Bindon on the 11th of November after the Remembrance Church service. A few people are gathering in the local tea rooms, and they're having lunch. And it's been suggested to me that I have a go, and so get inspired. And I thought, just picking out of the genuine Wipers Times, things just like that, the classified, some poetry, a little bit of news, some of the adverts. I just find, you know, enough to make up perhaps a 30 minutes piece and read selected bits out of it. I thought that would be good. Joe, I left a message on your phone. I don't know whether you got it, whether that would be a suitable thing to do, but I think that would be fun because I haven't got a lot of time to write and prepare stuff, but I could certainly do some selecting out of this, pick my, you know, some nice bits, put together a little thing. And I think people will find that quite amusing because they can listen or not listen, whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for sending it. It's absolutely brilliant. And let me know. Sorry I had to be elsewhere, says Shirley Ward. That's quite all right. That's all right. Joe says, cool. She says, cool. This is the original Wipers Times and not the Ian Hislop's version. Yeah, so this is the genuine thing. Thoroughly domesticated, says James. Yes, I'm thoroughly domesticated. It's like, you know, like a pet. Like a pet. Written by Ian Hislop. He's also written plays in London, says Linda Kane. But actually, Linda, no, this isn't the one that he wrote. This is the genuine reproduction of the newspapers of the time. It says here, this extract from a shoulders... oh, that's a... Hang on. I'm just looking here. This extract from a soldier's parody of the nation's favourite poem, Rudolph Kipling's If, appeared in November 1917 and is one of the many poems and hundreds of humorous articles that appeared in the pages of the trench newspaper, the Wipers Times, decades ahead of the amusing, most distorting buffoonery of Blackadder Goes Forth. This extraordinary mix of black humour, sporting notes, a gas attack reported as a horse race, fake entertainment programmes and pastiche articles constitutes a unique record of life on the wartime line from its long-running cartoon pun, Are We Being Offensive Enough?, to its brilliant subversive column, Things We Want to Know. Anyway, it goes on. So that's marvellous. Now, time for another video clip today, ladies and gentlemen, because we're running out of time. We've got the gallery to do. We only got 8 minutes, and I've left everything till the last minute as ever. The fire is very warm. I'm sweating away, but don't let any of that worry you. Before we get to the gallery, got a couple of clips to show you. You may remember that the lovely Mark Withercue and I went to Avebury. We mentioned Avebury when we mentioned this book, The Book to the Past, that lovely Nigel Sadler sent in. By the way, should say, if you have some old books that you think might of interest me, history, landscape, nature, guidebooks, that sort of thing, and you're going to get rid of them or you don't know what to do with them, I make a plea. I am collecting them. I will thank you publicly and all of that. Do send them to me. Send me an email, richard@vobes.com. And do send me an email. Don't message me in Facebook. I get various messages in Facebook and I never get to see them. Well, I try, but, you know, I may see it. It's gone. Can I find it? Email me is the best way to get in touch with me at all times. Richard@Vobes, VOBES, .com is the way to do that. If you've got some old books, it would be fantastic. It would be very nice. Thank you very much. You can see I absolutely adore them. I love them. They're brilliant. So I appreciate and I, you know, really very grateful when they come. So thank you very much. What was I saying before that? Yes. So, oh, yes, Mark Withercue, as he's now known. Mark English, of course, but we call him Withercue now. Mr. Mark Withercue and I were in Avebury, and he hadn't had Black Americano before, which I thought was a bit odd. So when we were sitting out there, we recorded this little bit of nonsense. I meant to play it in before, completely forgot, so here it is. It's time for a cup of coffee at the Red Lion in Avebury. And so we've got fizzy lemonade.
Thank you, Richard, for getting me onto Black Americano. Really, did that, am I got it correct?
Yeah,
very nice.
Black Americano.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not a big coffee drinker, but nice.
Well, it's to me, that is what coffee tastes like until people add milk and add sugar and add caramel or vanilla or whatever the rubbish that they add. Anyway, we're here.
Yeah, we're enjoying that.
And you're there. Oh, and by the way, don't know if that's straight, but the stones of Avebury are there. So there we are. That was Mark's reaction on the lovely black Americano, which is what I have. Everybody has their coffee in different ways, but that's how I like it. Just in case you ever are buying me a cup of coffee somewhere and you think, I wonder what Richard likes. Now you know. So we're going to go to the gallery as in a second. I mentioned, I don't know whether Adrian Lidgett is still there, but Adrian Lidgett, you may remember, took the lovely Julia and I to Morris Farm, which is a farm in Kent, near Betherston, in between Betherston and Biddenden. And we went and had a look at those lovely cows, and there was a calf that the lovely Julia fell in love with and was feeding her thumb into it in the thing. I don't know if you remember that. If you do, you've got a better memory than I have, because I had to write that down on a bit of paper, and now I know. Anyway, one of the things on the farm that we didn't show in the videos that we made was we went on a lake. Yes, we had a paddle around in an old boat on a lake, and I put my trust in the lovely Julia. Well, here is part one, very short, part one of us in the lake. Well, Julia.
Oh, Richard.
We're on a boat now.
We are. I'm paddling.
Yeah, I'm filming. We're only in a... we're not on a river or anything like that. Where are we?
We're in a koi pond. Well, not in, on it.
Yeah.
We've been very kindly put on it and shoved out in the ponds by none other than Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian shoved us... Where is Adrian? There he is.
There's Freedom the dog.
Freedom the dog is over there. And Maura is on the bank. This is her farm and her
beautiful
koi pond, which we have seen some koi. I had to take some pictures with my other camera, but I'm just using my phone because not saying I wasn't confident on your ability to paddle, but I was just slightly nervous.
What, you didn't want to go in the drink?
Not particularly.
With your camera?
Yeah, exactly.
Spoil sport.
Ah, there's the lovely Julia, looking as lovely as ever. And did you notice that sexy hunk in there, did you? On the bank, Adrian Lidgett standing there, looking absolutely divine, like Adonis. Really was. So lovely to see him. There's a little bit more of that misadventure coming up in a second, but we've got to get to the gallery and do that. Liz Housden says, do you want ancient postcards, Richard? We have my husband's grandmother's by the sackful. I would be interested in those, especially if they've got the sort of places in Sussex, Surrey, Kent, Hampshire, that sort of thing, places that one could go, because I always thought it would be great to do the same the now and then thing, have a postcard and then see where it is and see if you can find the place it was taken in a video, make that the basis of the video, and you know, explore the countryside around it or the landscape around it. So yes please is the answer. Yes please, that would be fantastic. What a star you are. So there we go. Paul Hines says 2 trees lived in a forest, a birch tree and a beech tree. One day saplings sprung up between them and they started to argue. Was it a son of a birch or a son of a beech? Very good, I like it. Wait a minute, see more it says here. The birch, oh hang on, golly, it's a longer joke than I thought that was the joke. It goes on. Well, I'll let you read that one because it's a bit long and we're running out of time. Let's go to the gallery, ladies and gentlemen, but I did like it, that's very kind. Let's go to the gallery. The lovely Julia has set the gallery up, so I can't sing the music, haven't got it, but let's have a look and see what's in the gallery today. So we're going to start with this fantastic thing. Wendy Blackband has been to Hodstock Priory and discovered in the grounds a nice little coppice. This is what happens to certain trees when you chop them down. You think they've gone and they haven't. How wonderful is that? We're coming up to the centenary of the end of the First World War, and Sue Vincent has been to the National Memorial Arboretum, and there they're growing poppies by the millions, and fantastic. Thank you, Sue, for posting that in the group at the Bald Explorer, which is super duper. Sue Blount has gone to, now I don't know if I can pronounce this very right, Crathy Kirk, Kirk being Scottish for church, the small Church of Scotland parish church, best known for being the regular place of worship of the British royal family when they're holidaying even, nearby at Balmoral Castle. I didn't know that. It's a nice looking church. It looks like it's got a bit of cladding on it, but I don't think that's cladding. It's probably genuine brick. Simon Brown, on the other hand, has been up to see the spectacular Peterborough Cathedral, to see Tim Peake's Susie, is it Soyuz? I can't, Soyuz, is it? What's Soyuz? Anyway, a spacecraft. He's gone to see that, which apparently crashed through the roof of Peterborough Cathedral and is there on display for anybody who cares to go in. If anyone's actually got the key so that they can start it up and get it out of there, that would be very useful. Richard Suggett says, today's Find Me Friday photo was taken in Salisbury, a few metres from the Market Square. And there it is. It's a lovely weeping willow. And actually, I think that's very close to where all those, that terrible, I forget the name of the poison now, the radioactive poison that's killing everybody left, right and centre. Meanwhile, Paul and Suzanne Watts has said, this is our French bulldog, our Frenchie, Coco, with her best bat wings. Ah, bless. She does look a bit batty, doesn't she? Lovely picture, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing. As is Nigel Sadler, recent stop of a snoozing sheep, a snap even, of a snoozing sheep taken on an autumn colours photo workshop in Groombridge in Kent. How lovely, yeah. Look at those lovely autumn colours in there, and that little lamb with its eyes shut, knowing that it's going to end up on the Vobes show. And here, Matthew Holdsworth looking west from Leith Hill with Richard Vobes. You can't see me, I'm hiding behind the tree. But that is looking west from the tower. We went up the tower, and those videos of us going up Leith Hill and exploring Leith Hill and then Friday Street coming very soon. Matthew can't be here at the moment. He's doing some singing in a choir somewhere. Bless him. Someone's got to do it. Liz Housden says, look what I found. A visitor on my lawn Wednesday afternoon. How adorable this little person is. A dormouse. What I think is incredible, Liz, is that you managed to creep up on him and take the photograph. And such a lovely one, and so close too. What wonderful detail. He must be very friendly, which is lovely. And that was our penultimate picture. Our last one is a bit more spooky. This is from Bev Barsby, beg your pardon, saying Happy Halloween from Whitby. And there we are. That looks very... I love the purple, as I'm sure the lovely Julia does, with all those gravestones in the foreground. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And there you go. Now, I said there was one more bit, didn't I? One more bit of paddling to get through. Yes, indeed. There was one more bit of paddling, and here it is. Yeah, you're just taking me around in circles.
Circles. Circles. Let's do small circles.
You're going to paddle up to the other end? Or are you going to knock my phone out of my hand? Phone. Yeah, that's what I figured. Sure. Here we are, look. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been lucky to do some filming here today, and the videos will be out fairly soon, so do check those out. In the meantime, the lovely Julia and I are stuck in this pond, and I'm at the mercy of the lovely Julia to paddle us back to the side. But I thought you were going to go down that end.
Yeah, I was trying to, but there's a breeze that's dragging us that way.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Do you know what the craftsman always, a rower always?
Yeah.
Actually, you're getting quite soaked there, aren't you?
I was already a little bit soaked from having a little calf.
Oh, and round this side, look, it looks like age. So there we are. That's kind of it, pretty much. Now, people have been commenting earlier this evening on something I was eating when I was setting up on the show. This was my dinner that I had, and somebody said, what, no greens? No greens? What's the matter with him? And yes, I was so rushed, I just needed to get something very quick to eat. And I didn't have time to muck about with peas or broad beans or some cabbage that I've got in there. Normally I would, and I completely agree. I just wanted to reassure people. They were oven-ready chips, shove them in the oven. They were oven-baked sausages. I know I hadn't eaten very properly, but, you know, they were very yummy, and I haven't got sticky fingers, so no. Let's get the last comments before we disembark for this evening, because we're a bit over time now. Mark Selwood says, Julia is always doing a great job picking out interesting photographs. She does a marvellous job. We should give her a bit more praise. Kevin Hall says, I want to go to that arboretum. That would be nice. Mark Selwood says, Simon's magnificent photo. I love that one. Linda Kane is talking to somebody else. Ella's Beehive says Novichok, ? I can't remember what that was in relation to. Mark Selwood says, I haven't heard from Maggie and Robbie in a while. Maggie and Robbie, I should just mention, they are there. They do watch. Hello, Maggie. They're not on Facebook. People come and go from Facebook, it seems to me, that they, 1 minute they're on, the next minute they're off, and people take a break, you know, because sometimes it's too much, all this social media. But I know that Maggie and Robbie are watching on YouTube, and they're still very much contributors. Yeah, you know, as soon as I hear from them, we'll let you know. Of course, it's lovely to know that they're there on YouTube. Steve Pilfold says Groombridge is in today's video, and a where in Sussex location last week, and a mention on the video in one of my quiz clues about the track bed having houses on it. Oh, really? That's interesting. So go and check that out. That's in the Bald Explorer group. A great selection of photos. When is there going to be a meet-up? I would love to meet you all, says Laura Riddle. Laura, we had a meet-up in August. I think we will probably try and have a meet-up. I was going to say January. January is a difficult month, isn't it, because of the weather and things. I think people are going to be a bit busy between now and December. I think that's probably unlikely. So I would like to say in January. People probably aren't doing a huge amount. Mid-January, I think, would be a good time. If anyone wants to suggest somewhere. Where are you, Laura? What part of the world are you in? Excuse me if I don't always know. That poor mouse was rigid with terror, says Elizabeth Housden. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Last comment from me. Hello, says Glenn Johnson. Last comment, goodbye, from me. So there we are. Yes, Glenn Johnson says, meet up. We want to meet up. That was the last comment. You just double commented yourself. Anyway, we've run out of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. My voice is still on the cusp. I can feel it being a bit sore and hoarse now. So I'm going to ride off into the sunset. Nay, lad. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, no, you're not. It's behind you. Where? Have a wonderful time. Have a great weekend. If you're going to any of those bonfire nights, be careful. Look after yourself. I'll hope to be back on Monday. Not quite. I'm doing something Monday morning. Oh, yes, filming with the lovely Cynthia Julian on Monday morning in Arundel. Again, doing something completely different than we did before, but it's going to be exciting. I'm always looking forward to that. And hope to see Kevin Hall, not Henry Hall, over the weekend. And Cynthia Walder, of course. So there we are, lots of things going on. We'll keep you posted, keep the pictures coming, keep posting in the Bald Explorer. But from me here, ladies and gentlemen, lovely to see you. Take care, look after yourself, and have a nice weekend. Bye for now. Bye-bye.